Hello everyone, my name is Hyungmin Kim, and today I will be presenting a research paper titled Coverage-Based Greybox Fuzzing as Markov Chain with the presentation title Uncovering Hidden Bugs, a Smarter Approach to Fuzzing. Here is the outline of my presentation. To make it easier to understand, I have used a cleaning analogy to explain fuzzing. In section 1, your room looks clean, but is it really? I will introduce the basic concept of fuzzing. In section 2, cleaning beyond what's visible, I will explain on this idea by discussing how coverage-based graybox fuzzing and Markov chains are used in the paper. In the section 3, a cleaner house, a more secure software, I will explain the key technique proposed in the paper called AFL-FAST and its effectiveness. Finally, in section 4, looking clean doesn't always mean safe. I will conclude with the key takeaways and future directions. Let's start by reading the title of the paper together. Titles are usually the most concise way to capture the essence of a paper. The title is Coverage-Based Graybox Fuzzing as a Markov Chain. Does this give you a clear idea of what the paper is about? To summarize the paper, it introduces a probabilistic model that prioritizes rarely explored paths, leading to faster and more efficient vulnerability discovery. So, have you ever heard Einstein's famous quote? If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. The more complex an idea is, the simpler it should be explained. So, let's simplify the title's meaning. Prioritizing rarely explored paths by adjusting probabilities for more effective bug discovery. Does this make the concept clear? Now, let's break down this sentence into three key parts. First, prioritizing rarely explored paths, and second, by adjusting probabilities, and third, for more effective bug discovery. Each of these corresponds to a coverage-based graybox fuzzing for the first one, a Markov chain for adjusting probabilities, and the effectiveness of the proposed approach. Now, let's go through each of these concepts in detail. Imagine you are cleaning your room. When cleaning, you usually focus on visible areas like the floor, desk, and bed. But what about the space under your bed or inside your closet? These areas are often neglected even by those who clean regularly. Over time, dust accumulates, cobwebs form, and sometimes you even find bugs. If you only clean the easily accessible areas, the hidden spots will continue to collect dust. The same applies to software testing. People tend to test commonly executed code paths frequently, but less explored areas where critical vulnerabilities may hide are often ignored. So, how can we uncover these hidden bugs? This is where fuzzing comes in. Fuzzing is a software testing technique that provides programs with random or intentionally mutated inputs to uncover potential vulnerabilities and bugs. Think of it like setting up a clean routine that includes both frequently and infrequently cleaned spots. Fuzz testing was pioneered by Professor Barton Miller and his students at WISC in 1989. It is widely used for security vulnerabilities detection due to its automated testing capabilities and diverse input generation. While there are various attack types and generators and debugging tools in fuzzing, if you're interested in learning more, I recommend referring to Barton Miller's original paper. So, what is Greybox fuzzing? Greybox fuzzing is an intermediate approach between black box and white box testing. Black box testing is conducted without any knowledge of the internal code structure, relying only on inputs and outputs. White box testing involves full knowledge of the internal code and structure, allowing logic based testing. Gray box testing falls in between, having partial knowledge of the internal logic, making it more effective than black box testing and more efficient than white box testing. Because of this balance, gray box fuzzing is widely used. If you've followed so far, understanding coverage based gray box fuzzing, which I'm gonna call it as a CGF from now on, and this shouldn't be difficult. CGF is a gray box fuzzing technique designed to maximize code coverage. Imagine testing a program by randomly feeding it inputs, hoping to find a bug. That's how traditional fuzzing started. But wouldn't it be more effective if we prioritize inputs that explore new, less frequently tested parts of the code? CGF does exactly that. Instead of blindly generating test cases, it uses feedback from previous runs to guide the mutation process. This makes fuzzing smarter and more efficient, helping us discover vulnerabilities faster. Let's walk through the core process of CGF. So first, seed selection and energy assignment. We start with the set of seed inputs S, which are initial test cases. The fuzzer selects one test case T from the technique, the large T. From the queue large T using a scheduling strategy. It then assigns energy P to the seed, determining how many times it will be mutated. Second step is mutation and execution. The selected input, the T, is mutated to generate new test case T prime. Each mutated input T prime is executed to observe how the program behaves. Interestingness check is the third step. So if T prime causes a crash, it is stored as a potential vulnerability. If T prime explores a new execution path, it is added back to the queue for further mutation. Otherwise, it is discarded. And fourth step is interactive processes. This cycle repeats until a timeout occurs or the process is manually stopped. The goal is to continuously explore new code paths while maximizing coverage. So this is the fundamental idea behind the CGF. The CGF allows for testing a relatively wide range of code areas. However, it still has a limitation. It does not sufficiently focus on rarely explored paths. To overcome this, the paper introduces the concept of Markov chains into fuzzing. A Markov chain is a probabilistic model where the next state only depends on the current state. In fuzzing, it is used to estimate the probability of a specific input exploring a particular program path. Now, let's go back to our cleaning analogy. Think about your cleaning habits again. You clean your bedroom and living room frequently since you spend most of your time there. But what about the storage room that you visit only once or twice a year? You rarely clean it, leaving it untouched for months. What about what would if there is a bug or spider web again because we haven't touched it for a long time? Similarly, a fuzzer tends to test well-covered code frequently while neglecting low-frequency paths. This is where Markov chains come into play in fuzzing. By intentionally increasing the probability of testing low-frequency paths, we can artificially make those paths execute more often. As shown in the diagram, we assign a 60% probability to visiting the storage room, making it more frequently accessed than other rooms. This ultimately leads to the storage room being cleaned more often. The paper introduces the concept of energy allocation to effectively distribute these probabilities. Unlike a traditional fuzzing, where all test cases undergo mutations equally, this approach dynamically assigns energy based on path exploration frequency. By prioritizing underexplored paths, this method significantly improves testing efficiency. So the paper experimented with six different power schedules. But due to the time constraints, I won't go over all of them. Instead, I will focus on AFL Fast, which achieved the best performance. If you were curious about the other strategies, I highly recommend checking out the paper to explore their characteristics and impact. So, the AFL fast is similar to CGF, but instead of stopping fuzzing entirely, it continues testing with a probability inversely proportional to the path frequency Fi. By gradually increasing the focus on underexplored paths, AFL Fast significantly outperforms other strategies in discovering new crashes within the same amount of the time. So then, now let's take a look at how AFL Fast works. AFL Fast modifies AFL's assigned energy and choose next algorithms to implement this strategy. If you are not familiar with AFL, please refer to the cited paper below. AFL is a well-known coverage-guided mutational fuzz testing tool that predates AFL Fast. It tests how a program responds to various inputs, aiming to discover unexpected crashes. So, for energy allocation, the AFL Fast retains AFL's approach to computing PI based on execution time and code coverage, but applies a new power schedule. It initially assigns low energy to new paths and increases it progressively. For exploration strategy, while the original AFL selects inputs with the smallest execution time, AFL Fast prioritizes inputs that have never been selected or have been selected the least, the small SI, and among those picks the least explored, which is a small FI, once first. So AFL Fast was tested on GNU Binutils, a set of binary analysis tools to evaluate its performance. As shown in the diagram, the results were impressive. It discovered 9 new CVEs, which is a critical vulnerability exposures, and also it found over 1,000 crashes, outperforming the traditional AFL. Also, most notably, it identified crashes 10 5 square times faster than random input generation and 10 times faster than AFL. In summary, AFL's fast AFL Fest's new power allocation and exploration strategies proved to be effective in quickly discovering vulnerabilities. They allowed for more efficient exploration of rate at the low density paths with less energy compared to traditional methods. In conclusion, just because commonly executed paths seem fine doesn't mean the entire system is free of vulnerabilities. Think about your room. It might look clean at first glance, but there could still be dust or even bugs hidden in neglected areas. So, this research presents a highly effective way to uncover such hidden bugs, greatly improving fuzzing efficiency. Of course, AFL Fest also has limitations that need the improvement. When using a Markov chain model, the state space increases dramatically as program complexity grows. This requires significant resources for computing and managing transition probabilities, making large scale software applications challenging. Additionally, energy allocation and transition probability calculation introduce extra computational overhead. In resource constrained environments, these additional computations may negatively impact fuzzing speed. Further work should explore techniques to reduce the state space, such as merging similar states or eliminating unnecessary ones. Optimizing energy allocation and transition probability calculations can further enhance the fuzzing performances. So far, we have explored the paper coverage based Greybox fuzzing as a Markov chain. How do you feel now? Does the title make more sense to you than when you first read it? I highly encourage you to dive deeper into the paper and explore the methods it introduces. I hope my presentation has sparked your interest. If you want to study fuzzing in more detail, I recommend reading the following papers: The paper Learn and Fuzz, the machine learning for input fuzzing, explores the application of machine learning techniques to fuzzing, providing insights for future research directions. The paper The Art, Science, and Engineering of Fuzzing, a survey, covers the overall theory and practical applications of fuzzing, helping to develop a deeper understanding of the concept. Additionally, the paper Evaluating Fuzz Testing discusses the evaluation and comparison of various fuzzing techniques, making it useful for analyzing the CGF in comparison with other fuzzing methods. If you have any additional questions, just feel free to email me anytime. My email address is shown on the cover slide of this presentation. You can find it at the beginning of my presentation video. So I would love to discuss, share ideas, and learn more together. My inbox is always open. Here are the references used in this presentation. So that brings us to the end of the presentation. Thank you all so much for listening, and hope we can learn a lot about the fuzzing and this research more. So thank you.